We are live here from Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, in the thriving metropolis of Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm joined by a living legend, and we got another one on the line, Jess Settles and Coach Gary Close. And
who's the legend?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here with Jess and be able to be broadcasting from the arena here. I'll tell you, the game was dicey, Gary. Let's start with maybe a comment from you. I thought defensively early, Iowa struggled, and I thought they struggled to guard the three. But in the end, too much Tony Perkins and balance from guys like Connor McCaffery and really just balance throughout the entire roster tonight.
Yeah, you almost kind of expect it coming off those two big wins they've had the last couple, and might be a little flat after blowing them out in the first game. So they got enough done to get a good road win and move on. So Nebraska's can play loose and free and got nothing to lose, and they hung in there. But too much firepower from Iowa to hold them off. So another good win.
And before we get more to Iowa and certainly, again, the balance, and I thought Keegan struggled a bit earlier. I thought Nebraska did a good job defending Keegan and making him really work for his stuff. But first of all, let's get to Nebraska, Jess. I feel sorry for Fred. I'm an Ames guy. I know he's been given another year, was the report here this week. But what's going on with Nebraska, and why can't they figure it out? They've got a beautiful facility here. They know they got support from the fan base. What's been so hard for Fred?
Well, on one side of it, if you're going to make excuses, you can talk about all the guys who have left. You could talk about the injuries. They really caught a bad break last year with the COVID schedule, just playing they played 10 games, it felt like, in 20 days. And even at the beginning of this year, just a lot of injuries. And on the reality side of it, it's just a brutal league to play in. It's almost impossible to play positionless basketball. You've got to have some really tough big guys inside to grind. You've got to have elite point guard play. When you take a bad shot in this league, especially in the last couple of years, it's just a turnover. So a lot of reckless turnovers, bad shots, and it leads to disaster. And then you throw in the fact that you just blow 3 or 4 close games early in the year. They had Ohio State beat. I think they scared Rutgers. They might have had Illinois beat, and it really just falls apart. So I don't know, Coach. It's recruiting strategy, the portal, all those things. It's not a league. There's no mercy, and he's going to have to change his philosophy. Maybe staff. What are your thoughts without?
Yeah, I think all those points are accurate. I think one of the things he's got to do, and I feel for him because he's a good guy and he's a good coach, and he's a great player, competitor. It's got to just drive him nuts to be going through what he's going through. I think he's got to realize that in Nebraska, he's not going to have night in, night out the talent that some of these other teams have. And so he's got to find ways to give his guys a chance to win at the end of the game. And I think they really lack discipline. They just make dumb fouls, bad turnovers, defensive breakdowns. They just need more discipline. They're a relatively, new team in terms of new guys, so it's going to take a little while to install that. But they just make too many little dumb mistakes that they're not in games. By the time it's over, they have no chance, and that's where you can't make dumb fouls. You can't have dumb turnovers. You got to give your team a chance to win rather than playing in a situation where you're out of it before the game's even over. And that's the case with a lot of teams in the Big Ten because the Big Ten's so brutal. There's a lot of teams that got great talent. And if you're going to compete with them, you got to do the little things well, or you're going to have a much difficult chance of doing it because the talent will overwhelm you.
Gary, what was it like coaching this guy?
It was one disaster after another.
It was like 8 years of that, right? Wasn't it like 8 years?
It was at least 8. Yeah, it was at least 8. Yep. Maybe 9. Yeah.
In all seriousness, the final thing on Hoiberg, and we can talk about the Hawks. And I want to generalize this a bit. I've had a theory here for a few years now as he's struggled to get things going here in Lincoln, and maybe you can validate if there's any substances or not. But his success in Ames felt like he was ahead of the times. He was ahead of the curve as it relates to the portal. Now everybody's in the portal. The portal is much more – it's just a bigger factor as far as success now in today's college basketball. Is that a factor that he's kind of playing with everybody else and he doesn't have that advantage?
Coach, I think you told me 4 or 5 years ago, I think we were talking about Fred, and you'd said, I think one time, that he just rolled snake eyes. He brought in so many guys that had struggled for other reasons at other places, and they came in under him, and he didn't back them into a corner, and they just thrived there, just guy after guy. And he was taking risk, and he was ahead of his time with that. I agree with that. And then he comes here, and everybody's taking transfers, and this portal thing is just open for everybody. And he's had the attrition here. He's lost, I think it was a Cam Mack and Teddy Allen, and now his best player, Bryce McGowan's, is. I hope he comes back, but he's probably not wanting to come back.
You had the kid from Wisconsin that never even played.
The kid,
transferred here and then leaves.
So it's just a different thing, and it seems at Iowa State. I mean, he won big. I mean, you're right, he won big, but it's a little bit different style in the Big Ten, to where you get down 6 or 7 points, these teams will grind you, and they'll use the entire shot clock, and they don't get in shootouts. And it's just amazing. He went from being so on fire at college, and even with the Bulls, they were playing well. I think Rajon Rondo broke his hand when they were up 2-0 on Brad Stevens and the Celtics too. It's just, then it goes the other way. If you coach long enough, you get on the wrong side of it. But that's just my thoughts on it.
Gary, are you an advocate for the portal? I'm guessing you're not, because I mean, it is sort of I don't want to say the young guys' game now with trying to utilize the portal. I mean, some teams are Fred's done that, really built an entire roster. And
that's a good question. I haven't dealt with as much. I think the two things that I'd like to see in the portal, and I'm just throwing it out, I think one is, I don't think kids should be able to transfer after their freshman year. I think they should stay at least 2 years and make sure that, this is where they don't want to be, unless it's really extenuating circumstances. And I don't think they should transfer within the league. I don't like that. I don't like seeing teams go from one team to the other within the league. Those would be the two things that I don't like about it. But I do think it's fair. The kid should be able to move on if the situation is not. I mean, coaches move on. Why can't kids move on if things aren't working out? But I think I'd like to see him stay more than a year. And I don't like it within the league. I think it causes too many problems. But just my thoughts on it.
Question here from Lemansky. He says, this is for Jess, is Connor the best interior feeder you have seen?
He's really good at it. Now, I remember a few years ago, Tyler Cook needed the ball in certain positions, and Connor really had a good feel of getting him the ball. Some guys, if you get them off early, they have good games, and Connor has that feel. Now, Luka,
didn't matter where you got the ball, right?
True, but Connor, I think he led the country in assist to turnover ratio, so he has that gift. And I don't know, Coach, I saw him play in high school, and he was an elite passer in high school, and he had made a couple passes tonight that were great. He's just maxing out his ability, and I know a lot of people didn't think he could play at this level. He's proved them wrong, and he shot the ball so well tonight, and he's just a tough, physical, older player, and you want to get older in this league, and he's one of the best I've seen at feeding the post. I mean, Lord knows Coach didn't give me the ball enough on the post. I wish we'd have
and the crazy thing about it is he's not, he doesn't have a reputation as a great shooter where people got to close out on him really hard that'll open up avenues for him to pass. He throws a lot of bounce passes in there, which are good passes for penetrating post passes. Fran deserves a lot of credit. He has stuck with his older guys when they weren't playing real well. J-Bo is one, Connor's another one, and they've rewarded him. And I thought he did a really great job tonight of sensing who was playing well and who wasn't. Patrick was a little bit off tonight, so Connor played more. Tony was on, and he rode him, and it was a great call because he had a terrific game. So I think he's really got a good feel for this team. And he's making a lot of good decisions in terms of when people playing, where they're playing, and obviously the move to J-Bo to point guard was huge. They've played great ever since that's happened. So he has really had a terrific coaching year.
And Coach, one of the maybe underrated moves there with moving Jordan to the point. And of course, I was somewhat critical of it at the time because I thought Joe T was playing well. But Tony Perkins, I thought kind of offensively took a step back after December. Those first 2 conference games, Illinois and Purdue, he was the man. And you wonder now, and I don't want to read too much into one performance, but he gets 20 tonight. Fran, despite the offensive struggles these last couple of weeks, has stuck with him in that starting lineup. We know what he gives them defensively. How big is it if he can start knocking down threes? And really the same with Connor. Defensively, you know what you're going to get, but boy, he's red hot from 3.
Yeah. I think Connor's getting healthier. I think he looks more healthy. He's moving better. And I agree with Tony. It just, they're a hard team to guard anyway. And if you had another weapon, it just makes them even more difficult. So that's encouraging. Hopefully he can build on that because he was really good tonight.
Cole is a Nebraska fan, and he asks us, how do we like Pinnacle Bank Arena? This is a fabulous facility, is it not, Jess?
This is my first time here. I am blown away.
It's beautiful.
This place is spectacular. I was in the locker rooms today. The 2 or 3 block, what do they call it? The neighborhood down here. They've got restaurants, bars, condos, hotels. This is the blueprint, for the modern, how to set it up to bring the fan. Have you been here, Coach? I mean, it is. Incredible.
Yeah. It's a terrific, one of the best in the league. Maybe the best.
How about the fans here? The place is almost sold out with a 1 win.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they've got
a lot of Hawkeye fans, but you're right.
I mean, if you have 1 win in the league anywhere else, you're empty tonight. You're just empty.
It was loud too.
Probably high school basketball. Yeah,
it's disappointing for the fans because I know they had such high expectations, but no, I mean, this place is off the charts quality.
And it's
I think
at
one time I had heard about building it that the guy that helped them fund it all was just going absolutely so crazy with all the bells and whistles he wanted to put in the facility. They finally had to tell, hey, look, we can't. This will just be too much because they don't lack much. I mean, it is a really. I think they feel, hey, they got to compete. That's a way they can compete in the league is to, hopefully you can get guys on campus to see the place, and once they see it, they go, whoa, this is pretty impressive, and they do have great fans. So they do have some selling points. But they got to get more wins. That's the big selling point.
Coach, question here. How many Oscars would you give Bohannon tonight? So this guy got a lot of flack during the broadcast. I wasn't watching the broadcast, but I got some tweets during the game as well that Bohannon was selling. I mean, what did you – first of all, it was a clear face slap, correct, Coach? I mean, you got a good view of it from your couch.
I didn't really get a good view from the TV because he looked like he turned the way in which the punch came rather than the way it – I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good acting job, which is okay. That's part of the game. But
we call these games. You got this little monitor, not much bigger than these cell phones.
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't see that part of it all. Right? Who knows what goes through a guy's mind? I'm looking. I'm like, that's a total flop cell job. And then the timeout comes, and the producer's like, he slapped him in the face, and I'm like, what? And then Bob's like, I'm like, well, let me see it again. So then, he did catch his ear, right? So I've got to go back on the air and humble myself and say, you can't take it back. So it's just, what do you do?
And you were getting some flack earlier in the game because you made a comment that I don't want to quote you on.
Yeah, don't put that in my mouth that I guaranteed that.
Well, let me ask you, what did you say about Keegan Murray?
Yeah, so close. You got to jump in here. So I was sitting at the dining room table the other night, and my wife's coached basketball before. I said, Is Keegan Murray the best player, in the last 40 years to ever wear at Iowa? Not the most decorated, not the most, not Luka Garza player of the year, but just he might be the 4th pick in the draft. He's going between 4 and 10. And then, I just threw that out for fun. And then all the Hawkeye fans, that's starting with Ronnie Lester era. Lester. You heard that, Coach. Andre and Roy and BJ. I mean, Who do you think are the best guy? Ricky Davis, Roy. It's hard, but it's fun to talk about.
Yeah, it is. He's got a chance, especially if you talk about, careers that he'll eventually have. He's got a chance to do it. I mean, his window has been real small, where some of these other guys played 3 and 4 years. But for 1 year, especially from where he came and then the potential that he's got, he very well could be. He's much better than his dad, that's for sure.
Oh, Kenyon was here tonight.
I saw him.
He came up behind me. I'm like, I didn't know he was here. We did have him on camera, and he's like, man, I'm sick of being on camera. Everybody started texting me. He said no one wants to sit by me now. So he's like sneaking into these places.
He's got to watch out. He's on TV a lot. He could do some things that'll
I know.
nationwide.
You know what's funny is I call some games in the Mountain West, Big East, Big Ten, obviously. It seems like every other practice I go into, the first thing the coaches want to talk to me about is how they screwed up not offering the Murray twins. Right?
Yep.
Close, you've been there.
Yeah.
It's so hard. They were, 6'3" and skinny a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And everybody is like, we watched them 3 times, and Kenyon sent us an email, and we're like, we just
Everyone but Western Illinois, right?
Western Illinois offered Keegan. Right?
Yeah.
I think offered Keegan. So have you ever – I mean, I remember when Coach Close told me that Doug McDermott was going to be a star, and Coach he really was on him early. And I don't think you guys had a scholarship or something, but everybody else was just like, he's a mid-major guy. Close was like, that guy's Big Ten.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. So the Murrays are kind of like that. Maybe it's even more extreme. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, not to this extent. They made a really smart move going down to that prep school and getting another year developing. I actually saw them play. I think they're about the same age as my son, and so I think in an AAU event his team was playing in the same event that my son was, and I went to watch them play. I was like, they got a chance. They're not Division I yet, but they got a chance. And this is back like in 9th grade or 10th grade, but because you could see they were long and athletic, it's a great story. It really is. It's neat that those two can play at Iowa where their dad played. Can you imagine being Keegan Murray and sitting up in the stands and watching your 2 sons play the same place you played and just lighting it up? Boy, what a thrill!
I talked to Michelle, their mom, at the beginning of the year, when after about 4 or 5 games, when Keegan's averaging a point a minute, and then Chris is playing well, and I said, what is this like? Just like imagine. I said, what is this like? And she said, we drive home from every game, and I think she said, we're marinated in joy. Yeah. She goes, we cannot believe what's going on. This is and now it just keeps getting. I mean, Chris tonight was awesome in the second half. Yeah, he was just, and he's the next great player. He's going to be great.
Both of them have a chance to play in the NBA.
I did.
I mean, Keegan obviously, but I think Chris
got a chance.
Has a tremendous chance. But both, you'd have to think, you see the leap from year 1 to year 2 with Keegan. I would not be surprised to see a similar leap from Chris. 2 to 3.
I can't believe it. I told Kenny that tonight. I'm like, I can't believe this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. So we had Les Jepson on here a week ago. And he said, and I
Leslie.
Don't
you remember the time?
So the people
the wife doesn't want to be on tonight.
Why?
She's content over by the pillar.
Okay, get the fans' perspective.
But no, Les made a comment about Patrick McCaffery. All right, and I'm going to put you on the spot. He thinks Patrick has a shot to be a lottery pick. That's what he said. Is that hyperbolic right now, or is that legitimate?
Les didn't say that.
Has Les said it? It's on the record.
Oh, jeez. Gary, you take this one. I can't.
What did Patrick do tonight? Patrick,
he was good.
Patrick struggled tonight.
21 minutes.
Yeah.
Patrick, I will say, he had 15 points.
Excuse me, 10 points. I'm sorry.
I will say that prior to all the health issues, that he was on track for that. He was killing people in the summer in high school, like the good guys. Yeah. And he's fought through those. So if that stamina and strength and development continues, then why not? What the heck? Why not?
Yeah, I think that's a real good point. That's where he's got to improve with his body, and he's skilled, but he's got to get stronger and be more of a force physically in terms of rebounding, defending, and things like that. But the potential's there. He's going to have to bring it out of him.
We're running out of time because we're going to have people carrying us out on a gurney if we don't get out of this arena here in a second. So I want to finish up with 2 more questions here, Coach. First of all, and this can be for Jess or for Gary, but Vincent asked, what advice would you give today's players going into the tournament? So Iowa, I think right now they would need to lose out to have any chance of not making the tourney. Now maybe that's going way too far. I think they're in right now. I'll just make that. I'll go on a limb and say that. But what would you give for any team going into the tourney? What generic advice, I guess?
I think first of all, as an analyst, I can't even figure out this whole tourney bubble thing anymore. And like the older I get, and I'm an expand the tournament guy. I get killed for that. I'm talking.
You still are.
I am. I'm like, I think we need more teams. I just don't see how you can determine, those final 10. And I can't stand it when, teams like Drake will have a good year win the regular season, and then somebody blows out an ankle, and then they lose the championship game, and they don't get in. I heard somebody the other day say that like Rutgers is on the bubble after beating 5 ranked teams in a row in the Big Ten. So that's my first thought, and I could probably be talked out of that. But going into the tournament, it just I don't have any good advice. Your seniors have to play well. I think a team like Iowa would love to be in the tournament just to get away from Big Ten competition where teams don't have you scouted. Their length is going to bother a ton of people. Keegan is obviously a star, but it's time for them to go to a Sweet 16. It's been since '99 since Close and I did it. They've really struggled in the second round, and just to defend, I'm rambling. I don't know what you.
No, you're right. I mean, you bring up '99. Think about that. Did you ever believe in 1999 that Iowa wouldn't be going back for at least 22, 23 years?
No, I remember it well. We had a blast. We had wonderful guys. Kent McCausland was great on that team, and Dean Oliver had a special year. It was Dr. Tom's last year. Coach was Close's last year. Those guys had already cleaned out their office. We were just kind of us against the world, and ended up in Phoenix. Got beat by UConn, who won the national title, and we played them pretty tough. I stunk that night. Kent didn't play very well, and you just get beat. But they were a little better than us. But
well, Coach went on to go to a couple Final Fours, but I'm sure you still remember
that. I forgot about that. I had to live through him.
You remember though that night? What do you remember about that '99 year, Coach?
The '99 team?
Yeah, the Sweet 16. Yep.
Like Jess said, it was. I don't even think we played even that well in the Big Ten tournament. I think we got knocked out in the first round.
We got knocked out. I got a double tech or something. I think I got tossed.
Yeah.
Did you really?
We just got hot.
I was upset of Eddie Hightower about something.
Yeah. I mean, you can get hot like that and get on the streak. It wasn't like we had to beat a really good Arkansas team. I don't think we won our first game by a lot. I think that was a battle too. Remember Dean was sick. We weren't even sure he was going to play. He ended up playing a few minutes, and then he got better, and then we beat Arkansas. But it was a team that really got along well together, kept improving, could shoot the ball a little bit, and we had to cover up their defensive deficiencies, but we did that okay.
All right, my last question.
Elite defender, by the way.
You were an elite defender.
Thank you.
Elite.
Oh.
I'll give you some credit for that, though, Coach. Okay, final thing here, and Gary knows I am much more critical of officiating in the Big Ten than he is, and I understand why.
You want me to answer this?
No, I'm not going to put you on the spot because you have some loyalties. But as it relates to the first half, I thought the first half was officiated very poorly from my seat here in Pinnacle Bank. Now, maybe you saw it differently on television or he saw it differently from the sideline. I thought it was officiated very inconsistently, and I've had people here this past week bring up the fact that the officiating changes in the tournament. And every year we hear, and Lisa Bluter brought it up on the radio on KCJJ radio here a couple of weeks ago, that it seems like even in the women's game, the officials in the offseason tell the coaches you're going to officiate things a certain way, and then we get to play and they don't. If you're Iowa, is there that? Have you found that to be true, Gary? That there is a curve once you get to tournament play, and how do you adjust to that?
Well, the thing is, you got officials that you don't even know because it's you've had relatively the same officials all year long in the Big Ten. Officials advance just like teams do, and so they're graded after every game, and if they're graded well enough, then they advance in the tournament just like teams do. And if they don't, they're out. So I think there's a tendency probably maybe get a few more, they're going to call a little closer. They don't want to miss a bad call. One miss of a bad call might eliminate a guy from advancing in the tournament. So, but I think that's another thing. You can't worry about that. That's something when you get into the tournament, just worry about the things that you can control. Refereeing is not one of them. And, if you play well, then you got a chance to advance, and hopefully that's what Iowa's got to do. This is neat that they're playing as well as they're playing right now. If they can keep that going, but But the NCAA tournament, it's one and done. You have one bad night, and you could be going home. So,
why don't you have that picture of the two of us on your shelf behind you? I'm a little disappointed. What's going on?
What picture is this?
You moved it?
What's going on?
Picture you?
Yeah, when we're media day, but.
Oh yeah, I had to change my dartboard.
He took it down at halftime. He took it down at halftime.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, he had to change his dartboard.
He had to change his dartboard.
Oh, hold
That's
on.
embarrassing.
I got it somewhere in here.
I was just at his house a couple weeks ago.
You were, really?
I called a game in Wisconsin, and he's got this golf simulator downstairs.
I know. Did he tell you about the birds? He didn't tell you about this. So he had Gary. You see, look what you've done here, Jess. Look what you've done to Gary.
There's one.
Let's look at this. Look at this. I can't see it.
You got to get it higher up there, Gary.
Higher.
Oh,
Right,
other way. Higher.
Right there.
Oh, nope. You
What
have it.
are you doing?
It's hard to do.
I'm on the left on the screen, and I'm grabbing him by the ear.
There you go.
Oh, that's
Pretty
you.
much. That pretty much sums up our relationship.
Now, that's Ryan Bowen.
Back left
and
over
Ken McCausland and J.R. Koch. And by the way, J.R. Koch has got his son, Cooper.
Yes, he does.
Is the real deal. So we got to make sure we get him in black and gold.
Oh, man.
That would be embarrassing. You went somewhere else.
It's amazing the roots of Iowa basketball, how deep they run.
Yeah.
I want to know why is your son not?
Look, I got 3 daughters, buddy.
Lisa will be calling you tomorrow.
Mother calls me up. It's probably there's not going to be a settle running around. I'll tell you that.
Do we have time? I got to tell one story about Jess.
Sure.
Are they going to kick you out?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Cut him off.
Absolutely.
Security.
So,
Security.
I'm at the 5-star basketball camp. And recruiting has changed a lot. This is 30 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever. And back then, where kids would go to camps to get seen by college coaches. The AAU scene wasn't nearly what it is now, where all these AAU teams and going all over these places. So anyway, I'm back at the 5-star camp just outside Pittsburgh. Concrete courts in July, outside, hot, humid, sun, the whole deal. And the morning session is over, and I think I'm going to head for a little lunch and get out of the heat. And then I look at my roster, and I look at some of the younger kids, like the 7th and 8th graders, and I see this kid, Jess Settles from Iowa. I'm going, well, shoot. If you're going to be a good recruiter, you can't leave any stones unturned. So I'm going to stay at least for a few minutes. The kid probably can't play a lick. I'll stay for 15, 20 minutes, and I'll go grab something to eat. So I go over there, watch this game. It's out on the concrete courts outside, and this idiot is diving all over the court for loose balls. I think he saw me come in. I think if the truth be known, I don't think he did that normally, but I think he saw me come in. So he said, oh, man, this is my chance. And I'm telling you, he go for like 3 or 4 loose balls. His knees had just skinned up, blood everywhere. I said, he might have a chance to be a player. So
And
there you go.
He's got the white coach's shirt on with I think it was the black and gold stripe in the middle, and had that old bird Hawkeye. It wasn't the Tiger Hawk. It was kind of that bird coming down.
The helmet, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I guess we're talking about
The
that
old
guy.
one.
down to get a fish or something, right? And then he's got the Tom Cruise fighter sunglasses on. And he's got the short, right, Coach?
Oh, yeah, it's hot.
I catch a glimpse of him over in the corner. This is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's probably 104. And the coaches are just, 3 or 4 deep just there. And that's when you were very accessible. And I caught a glimpse of him in the corner.
And you knew who he was.
I knew he was an Iowa coach.
Okay.
I'd never talked to him before, but I saw the Hawkeye. Yeah. And I just started diving on the concrete. and just the blood was just coming off the knees, and it was asphalt. And that was the beginning.
What grade were you in?
I was 8th going into 9th.
8th going into 9th.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that year in the league above us, Grant Hill was there. That was Pitt 2.
Jerry Stackhouse.
Stackhouse, maybe. Travis Best. Do you remember that him, Coach?
Yeah.
So they were up a league. I think it might have been Greg Newton, who played at Duke, and a kid named Keebu Stewart, who played at UNLV. It was, but there, that's where all the great players were. And I was
All
I
of them.
remember my dad. We found this brochure. I think it was if I remember right, it was on the floor of the Winfield locker room. It just got sent a mass mailing, and it like fell on the floor. And I took it home, and it was like Patrick Ewing went there, Billy Owens went there, Michael Jordan went there. So it was just that fate, right? And there's close that day, and the rest is history.
Billy Owens, Michael Jordan, Jess Settles.
Yeah, hey, Howard Garfinkel. We were talking about him. Oh, Fran McCaffery and I were talking about him this morning, the 5-star basketball camp. And
Yeah.
It was, but that's where I first met Gary. And
Was Iowa always number one, or did you have a couple other?
Oh yeah, they Coach Davis played the what I'm not sure you can play here mind game that he used to play with guys, and I was a little bit offended by that, and I wanted to take a few visits. Come on, I mean,
Sure.
I went to Michigan. You got to take a few visits, but no, it was.
He wanted to see if he could kick that to another level by insulting you a little bit.
That was horrible.
Well, I want to say this, Gary. Appreciate you jumping on. I really appreciate this guy for coming up here, and you probably wanting to take a warm bath and just relax the rest of the night. So
Yeah, where's my $100 he promised?
Listen.
I'm still waiting for my check.
If you would see, Gary, the setup right here, we've got the phone balanced up against a bottle of disinfectant spray. We've got no equipment here, and we made the show happen. So
$20.
Yeah, I'll take you. I'll grab you a donut or something.
We'll have to have Jess back on sometime.
Hey, thanks,
absolutely. Let's get you back on, Jess.
That was fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
All right, for Coach Gary
All
Close, Corey Braddock, Jess Settles. Appreciate it, everybody.
Saw Sammy tonight too. Saw little Sammy. Said hi to him.
Sammy.
His son.
Oh yeah, we did. We did.
I gave him a good elbow.
You
We
say
did.
hi?
I met your son as well, Gary. So
Cool.
All right,
Very
we
good.
will be back. Let's see, Monday. You and I.
Monday I'm going to be down there, so I'm going to have to go by phone.
All right,
Senior
folks.
night.
Appreciate everybody
Senior
listening.
night.
Sorry we didn't get the call-ins going today, but we'll get that going next show. So
All right.
talk to you later, Coach.
See you, Corey.
Take care.
Take care.